In this video, we'll be taking a tour of HMS Warrior, a British battleship launched in 1861. She was wood with a cast iron shell, sails and a steam engine. This gave her one of the fastest speeds of her day, over 17 knots. She carried 40 cannons and over 700 men. Let's take a look around.
And we'll start on the upper deck. So the funnels to the right there, you can see the masts up ahead and the navigating bridge just back there. We'll head towards the front of the ship, the bow, passing through some of the sails, 37,000 square feet of sails. Let's duck down to the main deck. This is the front of the ship right there. That capstan took 700 men to pull up one of the 4 anchors the ship had. This area is where the chief petty officer and petty officers lived. You can see the cannonballs rolling around for the smaller 68-pounder guns. That one right there is a 110-pound breech-loading gun. We'll look at one of those in a bit more detail later. But for now, let's keep looking around. You can see a good view of this. There's another 110-pounder, and then on this gun deck are most of the guns. All of those there are 68-pound smoothbore cannonballs. You see those red ones there? Those are explosive ones, and the black ones are solid. They have a fuse, those red ones. Up ahead on the top, this is the galley, so where all the everyone was fed. This is the one place where all the food was prepared. We'll come around to the other side a little bit later, but you can see how where most of the men, there were, let's see, 520 men that lived on this deck out of the 700 or so on board. You see weapons ready to go right there. And those hooks there are for hammocks, which were stored on the upper deck when not used. 2 hooks per hammock, 1 hammock per man, where everyone lived and slept. Again, another huge capstan requiring 176 men, several hours to pull up one of those anchors. More of those 68-pounder guns. And then this is the routine desk, which is the ship's daily routine is run from that area right there. On the grid to the right there, you can see down there are the steam engines. Those 2 pistons will go down there in a minute. Meanwhile, just walking along, you can see all the cannons, and then there's the 110-pounder rifle. You can see there's the what they fire. There's a red one as explosive and there's a black one, so they're fed in the breech back there. They're actually replicas. They're made of fiberglass, all of these cannons, but they look real enough and they're made from real ones. There's one of the 3 sets of steering wheels. Those ones would be used in inclement weather. There's a set up top we'll see later that are used in fine weather, and some spare ones down here. Meanwhile, let's go down to the lower deck. So this is the Marines' flat, where the Royal Marines store their kit bags and the ship's chronometers, clocks and compasses are stored. This is the wardroom at the back, which is where the senior officers, apart from the captain's mess, right there. You can see some of the cabins, the lieutenant commander's cabin laid out right there. The captain would be in a room directly above this one. We'll go look at that in a minute. The captain did not mess with senior officers unless invited to. But you can see there's a 4th lieutenant's room all laid out. A large ship, this, while we look around these. 418 feet long, 58 feet wide, 9,210 tons. Top speed with sail and steam of 17 knots. Sail alone 13 knots, and under steam 14 knots. And her hull, and we're going to walk through an interior bit of their hull in a minute, was 5/8 of an inch to 1 inch of wrought iron plate. Not steel, but iron. Hello. And the whole ship was made of solid teak. This is the gun room, where the junior officers messed. Get to see the ship's chronometer right there. The gun room pantry. Wash basin. I'm just going to go through a whole cut in the hull right here, so we have to see the interior of the construction, how thick the steel is. See teak, that's steel right there I'm touching, and teak in between those two. Cut, obviously for safety reasons in more modern times, but it gives you a sense of what the ship might have looked like back in the day. Lower steering flat, those are actually spare steering wheels. So spare uniforms, ship's library, and some provisions are stored in this part of the ship. Here's where uniforms would have been stored and handed out, the paymaster's store. A lot of uniforms on this ship. The full complement of crew was 706 men. Again, spare steering wheels, 3 sets. Top deck, fine weather. We just saw the main ones used. In the case of war, she never was in war. This ship never fired a shot in anger. But back here on the orlop and hold, this is the handling room and magazines. So gunpowder is handed up between decks to the guns. There's 2 aft magazines. Each holds 6 1/4 tons of gunpowder. Right here is the bread room, a storeroom for 30 tons of ship's biscuit. Here's the engine room. So there are the 2 cylinders of the giant steam engine. There's one right there. You can see one along the street. Penn double-acting twin-cylinder, single expansion, horizontal trunk engine, producing 5,469 indicated horsepower or 4,100 shaft horsepower. And they were fed by 10 box boilers. That's the second cylinder, you can just see down below there next to the first on the other side of it. And we're going to go down into the boilers, 10 of them in 2 rooms now in the bowels of the ship, surrounded by coal actually. There's the stoke hold, each have 4 furnaces. That one 156 tons, but her full complement of coal was 853 tons, enough for just a couple of days of sailing, and it all had to be brought down in bags, one at a time, so it took days and the whole ship's crew to load up. There's the rest of the boilers. We couldn't walk through to see those right there, but more of the same. Hot and dark. Rails overhead for movement of the coal in and the ash all the way out. On this tour you don't see the folks that we talked to, but there were some reenactment folks on board who taught us all about this ship. That was actually one of the highlights. They're not in the movie. I filmed it when they were elsewhere, but they taught us all around, taught us many of these things. It was absolutely fabulous tour of the ship. It was really, really, really interesting. Highly recommend it if you get a chance. It is very interesting, and the folks telling us about it on board were very, very knowledgeable. Asked all of our questions. Okay, up back to the lower deck again, back to the Marines' flat. Royal Marines stow their kit bags, and the clocks are stored here. I wasn't sure what that would look like, a lathe of some kind. Wasn't labeled. More kit bags to the left there. Heat from the steam has come up through that grill. But we'll head more towards the bow right here. Lots of weapons loaded up, ready to go. Armaments. There's an elevator there. Actually, that was a chain store. Very thick, heavy chains running down from up above. More steering wheel, ropes, diving equipment right there, used to clean. That's the suit that they wore, and that was used by men who maintained the hull. They would climb in it and wash it. Oh, gloomy down here, but there's still lots to see. Still on the lower deck. Moving forward to the seaman's flat, which is where the seaman's kit bags and spare uniforms and personal possessions for all 706 men aboard. Those red cannonballs again for the 68 pounders were the explosive kinds. They each had a fuse. The black ones were solid. None ever fired in anger. Like I mentioned earlier, she was so formidable in her day when she made it in 1860s in Queen Victoria's time. Oh, there's a ship's bathroom, so all the crew would wash and bathe right there. And these are the laundry facilities on the left there, on the right, excuse me. Those are the wash machines where the crew would clean their clothes. And a slightly more private bathroom here for the engineers. The captain had his own. We'll go look at that in a bit. Captain's cabin was at the stern, at the back, on the main deck, up one deck up. Spare propeller there, I think. Moving forward here, more decks, some stairs down we didn't explore. Right there. The brig to the left there, those are cells. There is one. Couple of cells and the brig being this whole area. And this room here is actually the sail room. So spare sails are stored in there. And just to the left there through that wall is actually the sick bay. And there are some steps where you see a person going down those steps right there to the sick bay. I actually missed it. I didn't actually get a chance to go and visit that, but I have to go back and go visit it. So this once again is the main deck. Again, revisit it. On the left there was one of the actors that you saw. She was dressed up absolutely fabulous. The staff aboard were very, very knowledgeable and really helped bring this whole experience alive. It was really the highlight. Actually, it was so good, so good. So we're on the other side of the main deck. Again, as you can see, all the 68 pounders lined up. The mess, once again, from the other side, or the galley, I should say, not the mess, where all the food was prepared for all the crew. Buckets and cannonballs, overhead weapons. And that was various ropes they show, and you can see all the equipment they used to clean and fire the guns. Quite a process. They told us all about that. You can see some hammocks in place there to indicate just what that might have been like. Once again, the grid plates over the top of the steam engine down below. The wheels used in inclement weather or in battle. She never was in battle, so just when the weather was inclement. Ship's compasses right there. One of the larger breech-loaded 110 pounders. You can see the shells that have been loaded in the back there. Black one's solid, red one's explosives. This is the half deck where the captain, master and commander live back here. A couple of larger cannons pushed to one side, and that looking down there into the wardroom where the senior officers mess. We were down there just a moment ago. the senior officers' cabins right there. Swords ready to go. And this is the captain's cabin. So, huge table on the right there, right across the stern of the ship on the main deck. Looking at the porthole, she's afloat, so you can see the view there. We'll look at the other side in a bit. But yeah, this whole area is the captain's cabin. That was his table, his desk, some places to sit, some heating right there, coal-fired heating, even warm. The ship was very cold, very hot, no air conditioning. And there's the captain's cabin. He had a choice of how he wanted his bed set up. He chose one that swung, as you saw right there. So that whole area there is his sleeping area. Quite spacious. Again, he had a choice of that. He picked that bed. He had a few options. Could have been fixed to the floor. He chose one that hung like that. At the back here, you can see that big round area to the right is a well, a propeller well. So the propeller can be lifted up out of the water to reduce drag when under sail alone and to clean it. Paymaster's office, they had indications of how everyone was paid along here. Can't really see it, but they were well paid. The sailors, it was a good life for them. Hard work. They were out at sea for months, but they made a good living, working and living on this ship. Sailing up and down, mostly the Solent, in between England and France, quite a bit, defending the realm, and generally making a big show of Queen Victoria's pride of the Navy at the time. Small handguns loaded, ready to be grabbed right there. Yes, she was never in battle because she was so formidable that no one dared challenge her. Biggest, the fastest, definitely state-of-the-art at her time. A combination of, so those are the upper wheels, so those steering wheels would have been used in fairer weather and when not in battle. That's the stern back there. Overhead you can see, looking up at some of the sails. We're gonna the steering wheels from the other side, and then this is the captain's bridge. So the captain would stand up here in order to command the vessel in fair weather. Get a good view from up here of where she's berthed, down here in Portsmouth. Good view the captain would have of his ship when a sail. Run down the other side of the captain's bridge to give a good sense of the deck here. So you see several small cannons and then another capstan for one of the 4 anchors that she carried, each weighing 5.6 tons and having 121 tons of anchor cables. Those are the ship's boats. They're not lifeboats. Those would have been used for bringing stores on board, transporting officers, and landing guns and men ashore. Many of the in this area here would be stored many of the hammocks when not in use. Again, another look at the. So this is a pivot gun. You can see all that metal on the floor allowed it to be pointed in a variety of directions. Another Armstrong 110 pounder. There's one fore and one aft, and they can fire from various positions. And those funnels on the left there are extendable, so they would go down when she was at sail and up when on in steam. And there you see her floating serenely. You see her armor plate on the side there. You see it's cast iron, surrounded by teak. And that's it. Thanks very much. Please like and subscribe.